Hello, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot. I'm Denise, and this reading is for Sunday, January 3rd, 2021. But as always, I'm looking for a timeless spiritual message to help us evolve, get back to who we truly are. Okay, so we have, and as always, I'm using the Light Seers Tarot. We have for the theme Five of Wands. And we also have the Six of Pentacles reversed and the Queen of Wands reversed. So this tells me there's some competitive spirit going on, or I don't really want to call it spirit. I mean, unless it's in the form of playing games and having fun that way, and I mean, it's like any games that kids play. They usually want to win. This is about wanting to win. This is about wanting to be at the top. This is about struggling to get to the top. So unless it's a fun game, it's just going to create more havoc and more struggle. I mean, this could even be like arm wrestling for some guys, which, I mean, I'm not going to judge, but I'm just going to say that with this card, I feel like the most important thing is just to struggle to keep your heart open. That I don't think that we're meant to. From every spiritual law I've ever read and everything I've ever learned, the message to me is that we're really just struggling to love. We're really just struggling to come back home to the true, loving essence of who we actually are. And what does that have to do with getting to the top or being first or being the one that seems to be superior? That can be the challenge. If there's a unconscious need to be superior, it's going to create competition and struggle and strife in your life. And, that's you can spend in that for a long time, and it's not going to get you, to the happy place that you want to be. So, with that in mind, I think it can be one of those situations where you're not going to be able to get in the reciprocity of the spiritual law of giving and receiving, of being in that place where giving and receiving is one, and you can feel that the love and the joy of giving, and know that when you're giving, you're also receiving. That if you're in competition, this won't come through. This beautiful giving and receiving. So this is more of a message, I think, than a mundane reality. I think this is more of a timeless message. I'll try to bring in the mundane as well, but for now, let me focus on the spiritual message. The spiritual message is to be in the state of equality, understanding that we're all the same inside. We're all made of stardust and blood and guts. We're all human and we're all divine. But there's, sometimes like those false beliefs around, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. I got to get mine. I got to be on top. I have to be first. I have to win. And if you're in that, you're not going to create, win-win situations. And if you're in that, it's coming from a lack of self-confidence. Because if you truly had self-confidence, you wouldn't need to push yourself ahead of anyone else. You wouldn't need to try to put yourself on top. Because you know that when you're in your true self-confidence, you're in your spiritual essence, and you can create anything that you want. And you know that there's more than enough. So that means when you have something that others may need, and this can just be sharing your light and all your positive intentions. It doesn't have to be giving money, but it can be donating. when you have the self-confidence to create your own reality, which is who you truly are deep down inside, then you don't need to struggle. The only thing we're ever really supposed to struggle with is just opening up to our love, opening up to all the love in the universe and the love inside of ourselves, and sharing that. So I think that's the spiritual message. Now, for the mundane message, the Five of Wands, straight up, like I said, is just, it's truly challenges, competition, clashing of the ego. I mean, you can see, so this would be like the way the unhealthy ego would work, needing to be on top. You never get rid of your ego, and don't ever try to. That's a misconception. That's a misunderstanding of what it means to be human. The key is to have a developed, healthy, strong ego, and then you can let it go, and you don't take your cues from your ego. You take it from your spiritual center, and your ego kind of steps aside. And but it also can direct you as to like which way to go. But so for me, if I give it a job, if I give it work to do, then it doesn't doesn't get bothered so much. So if you keep yourself busy and you work hard, and then you can play. You can play hard too if you want. I think the ego is much more, happy. But you can't ever, if you get rid of your ego, if you're like egoless, or you're reading material like that, spiritual material like that, then you're in alignment with spiritual bypassing, and you never get to the true work. Because without your ego, you wouldn't be able to speak and say your name, or balance your checkbook, or pay your bills. And that can be part of the problem many times, is that there's not enough life force coming through, which this card is all about, but it's balancing it out so that you're not needing to be on top, and you're wanting to create win-win situations. You would never want to see anybody falling like this, and you would never want to push yourself ahead of somebody else, because that there's timing, that the timing is perfect, for some people to be in their leadership on top. But then there's also this equality that can be shared. There's no reason to ever need to be on top, really. But there is a need to be in your leadership, and it's individual and very, very unique for each one of us. So whatever that is, you can create thriving instead of, struggling. So anyway, let's go into some mundane. With the Six of Pentacles reversed, that can have us feeling like there's, an abuse of the power, like somebody's giving to get, and it's because they want something from you. Or this can be like that suck-up situation where somebody's putting you on a pedestal when you don't want to be on one. You just want to be on equal turf. But they're putting you up on a pedestal, and when people do that, they throw you off later. So you don't want that. You want to be equal. We all want to be equal deep down inside. In our spiritual essence, we want to be equals. So let me think some other. It can be when there's no reciprocity in the Six of Pentacles. That can be when you've been doing all the giving and they've been doing all the taking, and they're actually kind of getting off on it because they have control over you, or they think they do. And that can be painful, especially if it's been a loved one or a family member or a dear friend, and they keep borrowing money and you keep trying to help them, but then you realize that they have this like expectation that you continue to do that, and they're not paying you back. That can be one of those things that this card can bring in, is that warning to, okay, you need to stop. You need to stop this. This card can come in sometimes when we're going into too much debt, and that would create the struggle, which would later on create a real lack of self-confidence. Because to be able to live within our means is the way, that we balance our life force as well. Let me think about some other. Sometimes this can be like a scammer, and it would be a scammer that's like just trying to win and take advantage. So you have to be careful about that. Yeah, so it's all about resource management with this card. And staying balanced and fair to get into, more of the mundane. Just stay very, very balanced and fair within yourself and with others. Stay out of competition. Now, with the Queen of Wands reverse, whenever I see her reverse, I just automatically think, lack of self-confidence, because straight up, she's got it going on. She knows that she can bring down anything she wants to create, and she uses her intuition, and she's got a lot of passion and just wholehearted giving from within. So she's good at sharing. She's good at giving new ideas. She's good at, instigating, getting things going, getting the energy flowing. But when it's reversed, that's not happening there. So I feel like the deeper message has to do with just struggle to keep your heart open to yourself, and then that will in turn help your self-confidence. And you don't have to overgive or give to anybody because you're afraid that they won't love you anymore. Just be yourself. Now, some other meanings, let's see, with the Queen of Wands, sometimes this is a jealous person. And whenever someone's jealous, of course, that's their own insecurity. So if you have somebody that's trying to get your attention all the time and they're always asking for money, and they're jealous of you because you have money that you can loan, then that's just a vicious circle. Because there's nothing you can do to make somebody else feel better about themselves. That's their own work that they need to do, if that's the case. Let's see, some other, when she's reversed, sometimes this is a person who talks behind your back, and it could be because they're trying to make some new friends and be on top. Or maybe you said, no, I'm not going to loan you any more money. Sometimes it's that, and then they go all ballistic on you behind your back. Sometimes, we're talking really, really mundane here. But again, remember, it all stems from a lack of self-confidence, their own deep insecurity. So, yeah, it's just sometimes, the Queen of Wands can be really immature and, like I said, insecure. And, because she's naturally a very faithful friend, when it's reversed, it can be a friend who's not faithful. So, again, if you're in any of those situations where somebody seems to want to be on top, and you've been giving as much as you possibly could in the past, but they're being unfaithful to you as a friend, it's time to let that go. And if it's a family member, don't go for it either, because it doesn't matter if they're a blood relative. If they're like that, we don't want to have them in our next lifetime, so we might as well take care of it in this one. At least that's how I look at it. If we don't get the message, if we don't get the lessons from our friends, we'll get it from our family members. And those are the hardest lessons. My heart goes out to you if that's what's happened. And it has happened to many, 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 many of us. I know I'm not alone in that one. So I think the main message here is to, again, just keep your heart open. You don't need to give yourself away in order to be loved or seen or approved of. You don't need to do that. You don't need anyone else's love. You just need your own love for yourself. And that will turn it all around. And then you will be in your self-confidence. And then you'll be in your true abundance, where that giving and receiving energy is always open. And then this can be a card of just playful games. Or we can turn it upside down and say, no more struggle. There's no need for struggle. We're on equal footing. Okay, well, I think that's it. I will bid you a wonderful day, and be back later for Mondays. Yeah, for the start of a new week. Okay. Meanwhile, happy Sunday. Take good care. Bye.